Hello, and welcome to the Department of Theater and Dance Facebook Live. Today, we have a rock and roll fantasy! Take a look, see? Rock and roll fantasy.
Yep.
And then, what I love about this poster is when you look at it, what pops in your eyes immediately? Sarah, what pops in your eyes?
The green shirt.
The green shirt.
Green satin.
You know what? That was by design. And a person who has to think about that all the time is this person that we have right next to us here. And that's our costume designer here, Darrell Wagner. Good friend. And we're going to talk a little bit about costumes today for this rock and roll fantasy. How are you approaching this? 1980s, or actually late 1970s, early 1980s music. A lot of it is Styx music. A lot of it, I know that through the interview with Aaron, that there's a lot of interpretation to this rock and roll music. Did I say Styx music? A lot of music, and also making some social commentary.
Right.
So what do? I mean, you have really two choices here. You have falling in the period of the work. You have following the music of the work. And then you have also following Aaron's social commentary things. How did you go about doing this with all these different kinds of songs that they're going to be hearing?
Well, we dealing with, like you said, 3 different levels with one overall story arc.
Okay.
That the music itself is very energetic and lots of fun. Mm-hmm. And so that part of it, the music will stand by itself, and I designed the costumes for dancers. It's got to have movement. It's got to look good.
Now that we have to think about immediately.
Every
single time we have a dance show, exactly. And so what does that mean? Give us just a couple, like the top 3 things that you always have to consider that is a completely different consideration in a dance show versus in a theatrical drama or musical.
The very, very first thing you have to do
Yeah.
is know whether or not they can do the choreography in the costume.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to pick fabrics that are going to stretch, going to move, that are going to pick up the light here. That pants are baggy enough that they're going to fit her leg and she can kick and stretch. It's got to be a shirt that's got that movement to it, that's going to have enough flexibility for her to do all of the body twists. So the first thing you have to do is watch the dance and figure out what they need to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. Then there comes a layer of interpretation where you look at what are the images that Aaron is trying to create and what can I do to enhance those images. Mm-hmm. And so there's another set of in design, we call it the line of the costume. What does that line do when it's affected by movement? Mm-hmm. And so there was another layer there. The third piece then for me in this show is the idea that it pretty much is nonstop. It's all energy. It's all lots of different things going on. But the dancers never leave the stage.
Whoa, now that's challenging.
So they have 3 costume changes without ever leaving the stage. So they have to have a base costume that is over their underwear, but act as underwear depending on what costume they're wearing. Mm-hmm. So there are some pieces here, and we'll get to those in a second, they're like very specifically designed sports bras and dance trunks. And for the guys, it says dance trunks. Mm-hmm. And so that as somebody else is doing their featured number, the dancer from the previous number can sit down for a second, change a shirt, put on a different shirt, and go back into the shows because the show never stops.
And they'll do that in the wings.
They do that in the wings with the audience watching.
Wow.
Yes.
That's fascinating.
It's going to be really cool. And so those are the three primary things going on. So then Aaron and I talked about what those images are going to look like. Then we take the 1970s, early 80s aspect, and the very first thing we want the audience to see is that fun, energetic, very colorful 70s rock and roll feel.
Okay.
Okay? So everybody's different. There is no uniform. It's all very expressive and lots of fun.
Now you realize that because you and I lived through the 70s, that there isn't one article of clothing that I would even allow anybody to see me in the 1970s. My God, we're talking leisure suits, we're talking bell bottoms, we're talking plaids were real big.
Yep.
Paisleys were real big at that time. Blousy shirts,
Yep.
or tight t-shirts, and then the real big bell bottoms.
Right.
I mean, white wide belts, white shoes. I mean, platform shoes. It's like a living nightmare of Elton John for a decade. I mean, how do you find something that is that people will accept
That
as 70s that we
yeah.
aren't going to laugh at, for crying out loud?
Well, we're laughing at some of it.
Okay.
We're looking at it.
Okay.
Luckily for us, that was the early stages of MTV. And so there are videos of that late 70s rock and roll music that we can look at and go, okay, if we take those pants and modify them a little bit, if we take this jacket and put it over a tight t-shirt, and so we're tweaking it so that we're going to get it, and it's going to be really cool. The hard part is the transition from that image into the world of the Paradise Theater, which is our dancers' world, what their home base is. So that we go from rock and roll, transition sort of into the core of the show, which is the main two numbers in the middle, and that's where we want the main piece to be.
Well, let's talk about some of those by actually showing examples.
Sure.
Come on, follow us.
Careful.
Here without tripping over anything. Show us what you got.
So what we're doing is, like we said, we're going from jeans, from I just had the jacket here a second ago. So there's blue jeans, there's vests, there's silk shirts.
Here, show us a vest, for example.
This is one of the vests that the guys are wearing. Two guys are wearing these. So we're starting with very colorful look, and then as the arc of decaying society, this theater that's falling into decay, the whole show transitions from very colorful into a dance world, which is the world of the dancers, into a black and white version of the beginning.
Interesting.
Okay? So they go through 3 different costume changes in the course of this 90 minutes. And this vest, this is custom made. Bonnie made these this week. There's 2 of them. And what'll happen is when he's wearing it, it's black and white. And so when he's wearing it, there's very little color involved. However, when they get to do this particular piece, he will be dressed in just this. So the vest is open, it's the jeans.
So you'll see the flashes of red.
You'll see the flashes of red, and the projections then are on top of all of this.
Okay.
So we very specifically picked these corduroy pants because the projection is going to hit the pants as well. So you're going to see the black and white and the colors against the fabric.
So even our costume designer has to really consider very, very closely the colors, how light and how dark they are, just because of this projection idea that we were talking about a couple weeks ago, this multimedia idea of projections actually going onto the costumes and how that reflects back to the audience.
Absolutely, and that's where like we were talking about the core of the show being those 2 main numbers, and one of those numbers is the women in what we would call halter dresses,
Mm-hmm.
which back then were very popular, and
Yeah.
they've become sort of casual, frumpy lady kind of things. Well,
Yeah.
we actually found a bunch, and so we have all of the women, and there's different styles. We
Earthy
have them-
natural, we'll call it.
We'll call it
Earthy
natural,
natural.
yes.
Yeah.
But there are, all of the women will be in these dresses that are just like a moving movie screen.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to pick up those projections. So at one point in the show, all you've got on stage are these moving figures in this fabric.
In the projection.
In the projection. It's
Very
really cool.
But then what about these now?
These are part of the transition into the world of moving from the reality world into the dancer's world. And these are actually
Wraparound.
wraparounds. Yep.
Like so?
Very popular. Yep, exactly. Very popular in
Very
the 70s. And we have a bunch.
Nice.
I know.
Cool.
And they move really, really well. The dancers have been testing them, and we're really excited about how they're turning out.
And again, with because it's a dance, you have material too that will kind of flow with the movement of the body.
Right. And so they'll transition out of real clothes into the dancer clothes into whites.
Cool.
And then as we shift back to the end of the music, they actually shift back into some of the real clothes, but in black and white and not bright colors.
Awesome.
Lots of fun things, Stevie Nicks with lots of lace and fringe and fun stuff. And how do we incorporate that to make all of these worlds look like they're part of a single unit?
So we're talking sticks. We're talking late 1970s, early 1980s music.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking Stevie Nicks types of stuff. We're talking multimedia projections onto clothing. How can this not be a show that you want to see?
It's so cool.
It's going to be very cool. And you know what? It's in with no intermission. And so this is a very, very all new idea. We are warning you. We are almost at 50% capacity sold already. We're already half sold, and we aren't opening for a week and a half. So again, just as a reminder, here we go so that you can see it. February 22nd through the 24th, the 28th, March 1st through the 3rd. There's the shirt for it, 7:30 p.m. The matinee is at 2 p.m. It's called the Rock and Roll Fantasy.
Come see it.
And the thing that we've referred to the name Aaron a lot. Well, if you didn't see the first Facebook Live, Aaron Wood, our new dance faculty member, is the conceiver, choreographer, director of this show. We had Darrell Wagner here today, who is the costume designer. This is one you are not going to want to miss. So get your tickets ordered online, or you can call the box office. The box office number is 268-2500. And you can also go to CasperCollegeArts.cc. Hope to see you next week. We're going to be interviewing a couple of the students who are in the show. Until then, thank you, Darrell.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.